So, a rig to survive the end of the world? Okay, let's check it out. Guys, welcome to the Modern Survivalist channel. If you want to learn more about survival and preparedness, you're definitely in the right place. Subscribe to the channel. You also have my books, Surviving the Economic Collapse, as well as Street Survival Skills. You have those available in the links there below. They will definitely help you get a lot better prepared. A ton of information collected over the years condensed in those books. You have those in the links below in Amazon. Folks, let's check this out. It sounds interesting, right? RV vehicle of some sort, modified vehicle, so as to make it sort of like a, not only for transportation, but also for living in it, but with certain characteristics as to make it more, end of the world ready.
I'm Gordo. We're in my 2003 International Bluebird school bus, or what used to be a school bus. This has been my project for pretty much 3 full years, been making it into something no one's ever seen before.
So right off the bat, it's always great when it's people doing these things themselves. You know the vehicle very well, you've been working on it, you know how to repair it. So that's always a massive plus than just going and boom, dumping a bunch of money and buying something. These guys that modify them themselves, yeah, you know it very well. Now, usually you want to go with something that is not only just super reliable, but something that you have plenty of spare parts. I mean, you can get around basically finding ways with most vehicles, but if it's a popular model and parts are plentiful and available, that's always going to be a big plus.
The pillars of this build are flexibility. It's not like a tiny home exactly. It's not like a lot of other conversions out there. It's more optimized for going out on the road on adventure type use and going out and doing weird big projects. It's built to sort of be a truck when I need a truck. It's built to be a camper when I need a camper. It's built to be able to live out of on the road for as long as I might need to, but not as a full-time living situation. I had to sort of do some mental gymnastics, like to make it make sense for me financially. And one of the ways that I did that was to make it as flexible as I could possibly make it and as useful for as many different things as I could possibly make it. But also it's been a lot of fun to have sort of this creative project to just be fully my own. Utilitarian spaceship type vibe that I've been embodying. It's been really fun to just have full freedom to go after that. To that end, cool. The third fun thing about it is seeing people look up at me from their passenger window on the highway and go, what is that? You know, like seeing other people try to figure it out is fun in its own way. This bus is not quite my house. It's not quite my shop. It's everything, but also nothing. It's a paradox. That's what it is. What is this? I'm going to tell the next person who asks, what is this? It's a paradox. Thank you for asking. The original location of the fuel tank on this bus was in the middle of the frame behind the rear axle, and in order to fill it up, it had a tube that came like way up to this level. So I had to get rid of that to make my flatbed, and so I moved the fuel tank up to here. So this is the original tank, but just in a new location. And then on the other side, I've added a second tank. Coming off of this tank, I run my diesel generator, my diesel heaters. There's fittings on there.
Yeah, I was thinking about it. That thing has to be diesel. You know, diesel is the way to go. It just stores better. It's a lot safer. It has a lot more torque. And usually you will find that wherever you have, gas, you will have some diesel. So yeah, I super agree with that. Now, I don't know how plentiful I mean, giving this a school bus, you would assume that is fairly popular and there's plenty of spare parts, right?
Like by a fuel pump system to the other tank. So there's just, at this point, so many fittings on that tank.
That's pretty
Both
rusted.
tanks are 65 gallons, so my total fuel capacity is like 130 gallons. Getting pretty expensive these days, but it gives me a lot of range. Yeah, so the door is the stock door, and the mechanism of the door is the stock mechanism, but I built a new frame and a new set of stairs to put it in. This is just a big aluminum underbody storage box, the catch-all storage, the junk drawer, if you will. This is here because right inside this wall is where all my Victron system and stuff is, all my distribution. Having the batteries right here makes the wiring really simple. And this is 2 drawers of 6 batteries each. This is the 3 starter batteries, and then 3 AGM gel hybrid house batteries, and then this drawer is 6 more house batteries. I went with gel hybrids because the temperature requirements on this build made me a little uncomfortable going with lithium, because this build sits unattended in the winter for long periods of time, unheated in upstate New York, and it needs to be able to continue to charge and discharge its batteries. It got complicated, so I just went with gel for now, and maybe I'll go lithium in the future. This is the International DT466E, and it's a 2003 model year chassis, and it's been great to me, honestly. The school district that I bought it from had over-maintained their whole fleet, and so I've got detailed records of everything. And then behind the engine is an Allison 2000. It's still a bus, it's still slow, it's still huge, but no complaints. The bus is 36.5 feet long.
Let's take a look inside.
I redid all the dash and everything, partly because I just had a pretty clear image in my mind of how I wanted it to form up, but also because obviously there used to be a door here and stairs, and so there was no dashboard on this side of any kind. These seats came out of Toyota Siennas, minivans, out of a junkyard, several junkyards really. I put them all on swivels so that when there's 4 people in here, you can face together, and at some point I'll build a table that goes in between them. So the overhead stuff is all electrical and systems devoted from pretty much this line forward. On this side, this is all my AC and DC distribution. There's 3 places that AC power can come from on board. There's the generator, the shore power hookup, and the inverter. The center area is all sort of like the smarts of the system. My Victron color control is up here. Driver's junk in it, a pair of binoculars, and some stuff that I just like to keep in the bus. And then the back one right now is like cleanup stuff. It's like paper towels and rags and trash bags. And like I put these cushions on here as like a little bit of a head bonker protector. That turned into a whole upholstery and fabric project obsession. So we made these, and these are just a Velcro and snaps system that goes up, and then these go up like that, and then they Velcro to each other. If I want to have a half blackout situation, or I want to have one of these windows open but still black out the bottom, they fold up like that. This is my little galley space, my fridge and things. A little bit of empty space left for when I go to add a sink, but for now this is a nice little work surface. This is designed to sleep 4 people. These pins can come out and it can pin back in up here. And this position is the like, everybody gets equal headroom position. And this is the, I'm on my own and I want all the headroom position.
Yeah, it doesn't look like super comfortable.
And then when it's like that, I just use this lower space as storage. I've got a backpack and some towels and all the things, you know, you need on an adventure. This partition was a thing I came up with just to sort of divide the space a little bit. Without this here, like being in bed feels like you're still in this room. But with this little partition and this little screen, you can sort of be in bed and feel like you're in your own private little space. My mom and I sort of co-engineered these. They snap onto the columns of the bed, but then it's pockets. Life-changing thing. I don't really have a great backstory for the logo, other than it felt like an important part of like making the bus and other projects that I did before the bus feel to an outsider like it looks way more cohesive. Like my bus with a logo on the outside of it is like, oh, that bus. Yeah, this one is pretty shallow this way, not a logo, but the reason it's shallow is because I have drawers on this side that are extremely deep. So these drawers go as far back as the
anyway, it looks like a solid.
Myself. I don't know. It's not the easiest task in the world. I'm not going to pretend it's like a snap of my fingers and everything goes on its own. But in terms of being able to manage the sheer weight of what's in these tool bench container things, it definitely meets my needs. So the way the crane attaches to the bus is that it just hangs from these trusses overhead. And the way that it does that is with these sort of big.
So it's fairly multifunctional vehicle that he has here with all the crane and all of the. So it works like in many ways it works like a giant pickup truck, which is cool. So yeah, I like it. Maybe it's not my favorite build of these that I've seen, I would take
This
more
is why
comfort.
I only need the crane to stick out this far from the bus. This is pretty much all I ever do with it. See, it's not really a general purpose crane. It's not good for really anything that my friends wish I could do with it. When they say, hey, I know someone with a crane, it's not really useful except for this one thing. Each of these containers weighs like roughly 1,200 pounds on its own. And I'm sure there's people, as we speak, going to the comment section to say, holy smokes, Gordo, that's over a ton you've got hanging out back here behind your tires, just like sticking way out like this. How can the bus? And my welder, and then a couple more of these cases of fabrication tools. My like portable bandsaw is in there. I've got a bench grinder, and a belt grinder, and a few other like things that for my workflow are important fabrication tools.
So the guy works in like fabrication stages and that sort of thing. I also see he has the bracelet, the Leatherman bracelet. So he's a tools, hands-on kind of guy, which is great, especially if you are building your own vehicle like that. I think it's awesome. Now, is this the end of the world vehicle? I don't know. Could be. I do think that there's something to be said about having a camper, about having an RV of some sort. Now, is it like a separate unit that you drag with a pickup truck? Is it something that you combine with a larger USV, or a larger USV, like a larger SUV? I mean, or is something better if it's like this, like it's the motor home kind of vehicle thing? I mean, both have pros and cons. Having something that you can actually sleeping and kind of living and have a little bit of a bathroom situation going on in some beds, I think that's awesome. You don't need anything too fancy, you know. It can be a well used but loved camper that someone wants to get rid of, and that's, you know, that's all there is to it. Just something that works for staying in for a while. Yeah, I think there's a lot to be said about that. It's not maybe so much about, doing that for the end of the world. We all know that's very... and if things are that bad, maybe the last place you want to be is out in the road living like this. You want to be more in an established, a safe community. But the ability to leave and have a potential, moving bug out location along with you, that's something very neat. I think it has a lot of utility in these scenarios where you have to leave everything behind, at least maybe for a while or even an extended period of time. A lot better than just camping out there, for sure. Guys, it's gonna be all for now. See you on our next video. Take care.